Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too because you are consuming content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting because I believe in the whole mind, whole body, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we are choosing. What I am discussing in this video is nothing has meaning but the meaning that you give to it. Nothing has meaning but the meaning that you give to it. I heard this phrase a long time ago when I was first on the precipice of my spiritual journey and my spiritual awakening. And when I thought deeper into it, my mind automatically went to existentialism, which I believe it is sort of an existential phrase, meaning that it's one of those circular philosophical topics where there's really no real answer to get to, but there's a lot to ponder upon when you think about it, right? Because we know in life something has to have meaning. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be doing this whole earth journey, right? We wouldn't even be doing this process. But when I think about this phrase on a regular basis, it helped me redefine my purpose in life, and it also helped me redefine what it is I thought was important for me and my life and my family, and how that played out in the larger societal expectations. I think I heard this phrase first from Tony Robbins when I used to listen to his books and his audios a long time ago. And I've always give shout outs to those people because even though you don't always listen to the same people anymore and you're not like, still listening to the same people that helped you awaken like 10 years ago or whatever, it doesn't mean that they don't play a significant role because they were a part of your process. And when I used to listen to his audios, I remember always hearing him say that phrase, nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning you give to it. And at the first time I heard it, it felt really harsh. It felt like, well, what does that even mean? It's like, how can something not mean anything? Like, does being a mother not mean anything unless I make it mean something? And what I didn't realize at the time, I was pretty much answering my own question. This is true. This is why people can have children and they can, create a child and they can never, ever raise it. They can never pay for it. They can never do anything related to taking care of it. It's because they've created a meaning around it that's not the same as what you see the meaning of when you say parent or when you say mother or when you say father, And like, I always wanted to feel at that time, and it had to be 10 to 15 years ago, I wanted to feel at that time that there were really specific things that people had to do. Like, you can't not do that. You have to do this. You have to do that. And whenever I internalized this phrase and like I truly understood it over time, I realized that nobody had to do anything. I realized that there were results and consequences and outcomes for what you chose in life. But as far as those choices being really specific, that you could make any choice that you wanted at any given time. So I looked this phrase up because I was like, what's a more clinical way of approaching this topic? And like, what would that mean if someone broke it down? And I'll stop here to read it. It essentially encapsulates the core idea of subjective meaning making and existentialism. It suggests that while events and objects may have inherent properties or object qualities, their significance and value are ultimately determined by individual interpretation and perspective. So the individual has the opportunity or gets the right to say whether or not something is good or bad, whether or not something makes them happy or sad, whether or not something is profoundly important in their life or what something is insignificant in their lives, right? But it's important to understand that even when you fully understand the idea that nothing has any meaning unless you give it a specific meaning, that does not relinquish your responsibilities from the social environments that you are connected to. But what it can do is show you how to pull back layers of what you've learned and what you have created in your life, or what's been created for you before you started like paying attention and before you woke up, and say, well, that doesn't really mean anything to me. That doesn't really hold value to me. Is this something that I want to take further into my life? Is this something that I want to continue to create as my life moves forward? And we all have the opportunity to do that. There are many things that I do in my own household that are not necessarily traditional things that I come from. Sometimes when I would sit back and look at things that were traditionally happening in my upbringing and like in my, family, we call it in sociology, we call it family of origin. In my family of origin life, when I created my own life in my own household with my children, there were many things that I would stop and think of this phrase with. Nothing has the meaning but the meaning you give to it. And so that would allow me to say, does this tradition work for me? Is this idea something that I want to continue with? Is this something that significantly impacts me in a way that it significantly impacts others? And if it was something that I was on the fence about, or I couldn't really find any real value about, or I couldn't really find any care about, it's not something that I continued on. Because one of the most important things, I think, in anyone's life, and my own life included, is always authenticity. And I do think we all come into this world with different personalities, different traits, different aspects of who we are that allows us to be a unique individual, like snowflakes, where everybody's different than the next person in some sort of way. So you're going to have different proclivities no matter what. So even if you don't take on something that someone else is saying is important, or someone else is saying should be a priority, or someone else is saying this should be the focus of your life, there are other things that you'll be doing and other things that you'll be focusing on, because the possibilities are pretty infinite. It took me a while in my own spiritual growth and development to not feel negative towards myself when I wasn't doing something that was expected of me in many environments. And the reason why it was so important to me is because I truly wanted to know who I was authentically. I've always wanted to know what is my authenticity. And I truly feel like we create some of what we feel good about, and we create and put it in our lives, but we wouldn't even create the lives that we choose. We wouldn't even create really specific things if it wasn't for some type of proclivity inside of us saying, you're pulled to this direction. You're pulled to do these things, because we've seen how you can sit right next to someone with similar backgrounds, similar upbringings, similar environments, and you both, decide to embark on similar paths, and they get completely a different experience out of it than what you get. So we already know that the main reason for that is because I've placed a different meaning on what I'm doing than what meaning they've placed on it. This is why I can always commonly see people talk about college education, and you can see someone saying, well, if it wasn't for my college education, I couldn't have, created this in my life. I couldn't have accomplished this. I couldn't have, followed through with my goals. It taught me discipline. I learned how to write in the process. I learned proper grammar. I learned, literature. I learned how to have conversations in any room that I walk into. I've networked with people. I met people from all around the world. I can get a letter of recommendation anywhere I go. I mean, it's truly been an impactful experience. And then you can have someone else saying, I hate that I got a degree because it didn't open any doors for me. Now I have student loan debt that I'm still working to pay off. My job doesn't pay enough. My industry that I chose was bad. My degree is pretty much useless. You can Google it. They're going to tell you it's useless. And so you can see how we've both done the exact same thing, but this person here has created a very different meaning for something in their life than what I've created the meaning for a similar act. And so this is just a deeper approach to the idea of perspective. But the clincher that makes it a little bit different to me is that meaning is a lot different than like what you're looking at. It's like when you search yourself, when you search your soul, and you search the very core of your being, what in your life can you say, like, this is important to me? Like, something about this, it's intuitively important to me, and I know it's something that I need to keep doing. And then what in your life can you say, I really hold no value there, and I really don't see why I keep doing this thing, and it's something that I want to let go and move away from. I've seen people do this when it comes to things like marriage. While one person can believe that a marriage license is very important for them in their life, I've seen people that have wedding ceremonies and never get the license, because for that couple, there was no inherent meaning in them having a government certificate, right? That was based on what other people's expectations were, maybe something related to their finances or something. It was always based on something external. And if those things were not important to that couple, then a lot of times they don't even go and do the rest. They just have the ceremony so the family and friends can enjoy the experience. And so for me, that is creating ultimately the life that you choose. That's ultimately being in a space or being in a mindset where you're approaching everything and looking at it saying, nothing has a meaning unless it's a meaning I give to it. It stopped me from beating myself up from not being able to do things so easily that other people can do so easily, because I just know like I'm going against the grain of who I am. And whether or not someone agrees with it or likes it or doesn't like it and all that, I have to be able to stand within the strength that I know I've been given by the Creator, because that strength is always in me. And if you're willing to stand in that strength and you're willing to say, I really truly believe that this is not my path, and then you got to be okay with it. And the people that understand your heart and know who you are and want to know who you are and want to believe that you are good, they will see you as good. The people that want to believe that something is wrong with you or that you're not good, they're going to see you as that no matter what you do. So just keep that in mind. Nothing in life has any inherent meaning but the meaning that you decide to assign to it. And this is not to say that there aren't repercussions for assigning a different meaning to something. Because if the world doesn't agree, or society or environment or your family or your kids or your friends, they're going to treat you how they want to treat you because they don't agree with what you're saying and what you're doing and your perception of things and how you're choosing to live. So just keep that in mind. Nothing in life has an inherent meaning but the meaning we decide to give to it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.